Only way out is through. The only way out is through. Don't care what anyone has to tell you, where they went to school, what they do for work, who their mom or dad is. None of it matters. They have to print the money. As soon as the treasury market gets out of control, they scream, and they publish in all media, we will print the money.
In Jack Mallers' latest podcast, he speaks about the 10-year yield being up, and he says that the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury are beginning to signal that they are willing to step in and print money if necessary to support the economy. In this podcast, Jack Mallers gives key insights into the intersection of traditional finance markets and the evolving world of crypto, and the decoupling of Bitcoin from traditional markets. He says that Bitcoin is the greatest smoke alarm for fiat liquidity expansion in the world, and the price of Bitcoin directly reflects every move the M2 money supply makes. This is why, no matter what Trump says, no matter what Jerome Powell says, it's all noise. Because it doesn't matter what the government says, it only matters what the government does, because that's all Bitcoin cares about. So if you have the right strategies in place during every phase of the M2 money supply expansion, you can be successful in this market. Stealth QE is taking place right now, as Trump weakens the dollar and central banks in other countries around the world are already cutting interest rates dramatically. But let's listen in as Jack Mallers explains his key insights. And if you are invested in crypto or thinking of investing in crypto, subscribe to the channel so we can help you navigate through your crypto journey.
What we have seen since is financial authorities saying they will print the money. Now, if you're an avid listener of the show, I know some of this is repetitive, but I'm laying the groundwork in the context. Trust me, hang with me. This is from the Financial Times. Federal Reserve, quote, absolutely, end quote, ready to help stabilize market if needed, top official says. Guys, what we've seen since 2019 is if the Treasuries market gets unruly and gets out of whack, financial authorities will immediately step in and provide liquidity, print the money, support the system. Only way out is through. The only way out is through. Don't care what anyone has to tell you, where they went to school, what they do for work, who their mom or dad is. None of it matters. They have to print the money. As soon as the treasury market gets out of control, they scream, and they publish in all media, we will print the money. Next, now this is a even bigger deal. Now I'm sharing a Bloomberg article titled, Bessent says Treasury has a big toolkit if needed for bonds. Now, we just heard from the Federal Reserve, the central bank that prints the dollars, okay, that they have the treasury markets back. Now we're hearing from the Treasury Department, the Secretary of the Treasury, saying the Treasury has the tools to print the money, okay? So now you're hearing from the Fed and the U.S. Treasury that when it comes to the bond market, when it comes to the sovereign debt crisis that Jack and the Money Matters podcast has been screaming about in this big empty closet, and everyone's like, is that guy 12 years old? Is he 30 years old? What's going on? I've been screaming sovereign debt crisis. Treasury market is unstable. None of this is going to work. They have to print the money. Buy Bitcoin while you can. Kicking and screaming. Now we're seeing it in the headlines. Okay, next thing I want to share with you guys. So 1, we've got the Fed saying they'll print the money. 2, we've got the Treasury saying they'll print the money. Now what's 3? 3 is the U.S. banking system will help print the money. Treasury explores whether to ease capital rule on U.S. bonds. This is the SLR. We've been saying this on this show over and over again. There is a rule that requires banks to post necessary collateral to use leverage to participate in the bond market. They are looking to revoke and change that rule so that banks can buy unlimited amount of dog shit debt for the U.S. government without posting any collateral. This makes them unlimited buyers supplying unlimited demand for a product that nobody wants, which is lending money to someone who's already $36 trillion in debt. Okay, so recap. The Economist comes out and says, we're screwed. The U.S. financial system almost just collapsed. The Fed then comes out and says, we will print the money. The Treasury Secretary then comes out and says, I will print the money also. The U.S. banking system then also comes out and says, please help us participate in printing thy money. Printing the money. Now, last one I want to share as far as news that's telling you exactly what's going to happen is from CNBC. Title, Fed Governor Waller sees tariff inflation as, quote, transitory, end quote, in tush-push comparison. I couldn't believe they're using this transitory word again. They just got crucified for using the transitory word through COVID inflation. Crucified. It's transitory. It's transitory. It's transitory. Oh, wasn't transitory. It broke every inflation record in America. Wasn't transitory. Either you're a liar or you're stupid. Either way, it's dangerous. Okay? They're back. Fed Governor Waller sees tariff inflation as transitory. First of all, let's break this down. It's an admission that tariffs are inflationary. Let's not let that slide. Embedded in this statement is that tariffs are inflationary. They're just saying it's transitory. By the way, guys, their admission of saying it's transitory, all they're saying is we're going to print the money anyway. We're not taking it seriously. It's transitory. It'll pass. We don't give a shit. That's what they're saying. Okay? So let's recap. The Economist says, little does anyone know the U.S. financial system was about to fall apart. But we knew on the Money Matters podcast, we knew because we've been saying dollar down, bonds down, stock market down. This isn't working. Mayhem, mayhem. They're going to have to print the money. We knew. We knew. The world didn't know. We knew. The world didn't know. Economist says the U.S. financial system is about to fall apart. Then the Fed comes out and says, we will print the money. The Treasury comes out and says, we will also print the money. The U.S. banking says, change the rule so that we can also print the money. Then the Fed says, oh yeah, and this worry about inflation because of tariffs, transitory, AKA, we don't give a shit. We're still going to print the money. Okay? I often say financial markets aren't that complicated if you're paying attention. Okay? All you got to do is own something they can't make more of and pay attention.
We are in a weird twilight zone of economic policy. The Fed has mostly tamed inflation, but growth is shallow, and the soft landing the Fed promised is more of a marketing phrase at this point than an actual reality. The labor market is cooling, which means job openings are down and layoffs are slowly rising. Consumer sentiment is also down, but we are optimistic for the future, which means consumers are still spending money, but cautiously. And although the Fed is still hawkish, Jerome Powell has expressed progress in the overall state of the economy and says his main focus is how tariffs will affect the economy before making any decisions on interest rates. Between pressure from Trump to cut rates and 10-year yields rising, there is a big pressure on the Fed to pivot instead of playing it safe. I mean, let's be honest. Interest rates this high for this long will choke out risk on assets if they are this high for much longer. But in light of that, institutional and retail investors are slowly coming back into the market. So let's listen as Jack Mallers continues to explain his insights and crypto forecasts for the 2025 and beyond. Don't pay attention to the noise. Instead, focus on on-chain data and key technical analysis in the macro landscape. The dollar is weakening and the M2 money supply is going up, and the Fed and the Treasury are willing to step in if needed to support the market. Jack Mallers says over time that Bitcoin will decouple from traditional markets because Bitcoin is the only true hedge against global uncertainty and the fight against fiat printing. But what do you think? Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful, subscribe to the channel. And if you have anything to add to the conversation, comment down below.